I work in human resources for a mid-sized tech firm. We had a guy come in for an entry-level coding position. He was 23 years old. He walked in with his mother, who was carrying his portfolio. When I called him back, she stood up to join us. I politely told her that the interview was just for candidates. She looked me dead in the eye and said, "We are a package deal. If you hire him, you get my management skills too. I need to make sure you offer him a fair salary and good snacks." I had security escort them both out. I am a college professor. I once received a furious email from a parent demanding to know why her son received a C on his paper. I can't discuss grades with parents due to privacy laws, FERPA, and I told her this. She showed up at my office hours the next day. She had driven 4 hours to get there and started banging on my door. It turns out she was the one who wrote the paper, not her son, and she was insulted that I gave her writing a C. She literally admitted to academic fraud to try and raise his grade. My cousin is a drill sergeant in the army. He told me a story about a new recruit who arrived at basic training. 2 days later, the recruit's mother called the base commander. She demanded that the drill sergeant stop yelling at her son because he is a sensitive soul and needs positive reinforcement only. She also asked if she could Uber eats him some pizza because the mess hall food was upsetting his stomach. The recruit was discharged shortly after, mostly because he refused to tie his own boots without calling home. I used to work as a manager at a movie theatre. We hired a 17-year-old girl for the concession stand. Her mum would come in every single shift and stand at the end of the counter, just watching her. If a customer was rude, the mum would jump in and start screaming at the customer. If the girl made a mistake with the popcorn, the mum would run behind the counter to fix it. I eventually had to fire the girl because her mother was a liability. The mum then threatened to sue me for emotional distress caused to her daughter. I dated a guy in his late 20s for about a month. On our third date, we went back to his apartment to watch a movie. Suddenly, the front door unlocks, and his mum walks in with a basket of laundry. She didn't knock. She proceeded to fold his underwear right in front of us on the coffee table while asking me questions about my genetics and financial history. He didn't even flinch. He just kept watching the movie like this was normal behavior. I left and blocked his number immediately. I'm a vivid memory of a swim meet when I was coaching high schoolers. One of the kids, a junior, was disqualified for a false start. It happens. His dad stormed onto the pool deck, fully clothed, and pushed the referee into the pool. Then he tried to force his son to get back on the block and swim his race while the ref was drowning. Police were called. The kid was actually really talented, but he quit the team the next day out of sheer embarrassment. I work at a university housing office. We had a freshman move in, and his mother tried to move in with him. She wasn't just dropping him off. She brought an air mattress and set it up in his dorm room. She told his roommate, "I'll just stay for the first semester until he gets adjusted to doing his own laundry." The roommate called us in a panic. We had to explain to a 45-year-old woman that she could not live in a sterile 12x12 dorm room with 2 teenage boys. A friend of mine is a hairstylist. A 20-year-old guy came in for a haircut, and his mum sat in the chair next to him. She directed every single snip of the scissors. Not too short on the sides. "Leave the bangs." The guy didn't say a word the whole time. When it was time to pay, the mum handed the card over and said, "Here is a tip for listening to me, but next time don't talk to him so much. He gets distracted easily." The poor guy looked like he wanted to vanish into the floor. I worked at a summer camp for teens. One kid's mum had sewn GPS trackers into the lining of all his underwear and socks. She would call the camp office every hour saying things like, "Why has Jimmy been in the woods for 40 minutes? Is he lost?" Or, "His tracker shows he's moving very fast. Is he running? He has asthma." We eventually had to confiscate the clothes because it was a security risk and creepy as hell. I am a doctor. I had a 26-year-old male patient come in for a physical. His mother insisted on being in the room. When I asked him questions like, "Do you smoke?" or "Are you sexually active?" the mother would answer for him immediately with, "No, absolutely not." The patient was staring at the floor, staring at... I eventually had to ask her to leave to get a urine sample, and the second the door closed, the guy whispered, "I smoke a pack a day, and I think I have chlamydia. Please help me." My aunt is a real estate agent. She showed a house to a newlywed couple. The whole time, the husband's mother was on FaceTime. She made them measure every room to see if her old furniture would fit, because she planned on moving in with them part-time. She hated the kitchen, so she made the son offer $50,000 less than asking price. They didn't get the house. The wife looked like she was about to divorce him right there in the driveway. I work in admissions for a prestigious university. We do alumni interviews. One applicant showed up, and his dad set up a tripod and a video camera. He told me, "I need to record this so we can review his performance later and sue you if there is any bias." I told him recording was strictly prohibited. He started quoting the Constitution. The kid just sat there silently crying. Needless to say, the performance did not result in an acceptance letter. I was a barista at a coffee shop. A woman came in and ordered a specialized complicated latte. She tasted it, spat it on the counter, and screamed that it was too hot. Then she called her son, who was apparently waiting in the car. He came in, he looked about 30, and she made him yell at me. He was mumbling, "You made my mum's coffee wrong, do it again," while looking at his shoes. It was the most pathetic display of puppet mastery I have ever seen. I work at a bank. A 24-year-old man came in to open a joint checking account with his fiancée. His mother came rushing in 5 minutes later, out of breath. She slammed her hand on my desk and said, "I did not authorize this." She demanded to be the third signer on the account so she could monitor the spending and make sure the fiancé wasn't a gold digger. The son actually asked his fiancée if it was okay. The fiancé walked out, and I never saw them again. I'm a high school teacher. We had a field trip to a museum. One mother insisted on coming as a chaperone, which was fine, but she brought a leash, a literal child leash. And she attached it to her 16-year-old son's backpack loop. She walked him around the museum on a tether like a toddler. Other students were taking photos and laughing. The kid had completely checked out mentally. I think he was dissociating to survive the trauma. I work in a law firm. We hired an intern for the summer. On his first day, he didn't show up. His mum called and said, "Tyler is too tired today. The commute is too long. Can he work from home?" We said no. Interns need to be in the office to learn. She showed up the next day in his place with a notepad, saying she would take notes for him so he wouldn't miss anything. We had to explain that employment is not transferable like a concert ticket. I once saw a mother at a university orientation chewing the food for her son. I wish I was joking. They were sitting at the cafeteria table. The son was perfectly able-bodied. She was cutting his steak into tiny pieces, blowing on it, and then literally putting the fork in his mouth. He was looking at his phone the whole time, like this was a standard Tuesday. I lost my appetite immediately. I work at a car dealership. A young man bought a sports car with his own money from a tech startup buyout. 2 days later, his mother drove the car back to the lot. She threw the keys at me and said, "He's not allowed to have this. It's too fast. Give him a Prius." The car was already titled in his name. We couldn't just take it back. She slashed the tires right there in the lot so he couldn't drive it away. My brother is a wedding photographer. He did a wedding where the groom's mother wore a white ball gown, not silver, not champagne, white. During the vows, she stood right behind the groom, holding onto his elbow. When the officiant asked, "Do you take this woman?" the mum loudly whispered, "Think about this, Stephen, it's not too late to come home." The bride smashed a piece of cake into the mum's face at the reception. I worked in a pharmacy. A woman called screaming that we filled her son's prescription with the generic brand, and he only swallows the oval pills, not the round ones. I looked up the patient's profile. He was 42 years old. I told her he would have to call himself to request a change. She said, "He's busy playing video games. I handle his medical intake." I am a hiring manager. I called a candidate to offer him a job. His mother answered the phone. She said, "He can't come to the phone right now. He's napping, but I'll take the offer details." Then she started negotiating his salary. He needs at least 80K because he has expensive taste in sneakers. When I insisted on speaking to him, she hung up on me. I rescinded the offer via email. I was a server at a nice restaurant. A couple in their early 20s was on a date. The guy's mum was sitting at the table right next to them, facing them. She ordered for both of them. When the bill came, she took it, inspected it, and crossed out the tip I had automatically added for a large party, since she made a scene earlier. She then leaned over and told the girl, "My son usually dates prettier girls. Count yourself lucky." I volunteer as a scout leader. We were on a camping trip. One kid's dad hiked 3 miles into the woods at 2 a.m. because he checked his weather app and saw it might drizzle. He brought a giant tarp and spent an hour noisily setting it up over his son's tent, waking everyone up. The son was mortified. The dad then slept in his car at the trailhead, just in case. I work at a gym. A guy was working out with a personal trainer. His mum followed them around with a towel and a water bottle. Every time he finished a set, she would wipe his forehead and give him a sip of water like a boxer in the ring. She would also critique the trainer, saying, "That weight looks too heavy for his joints. He has delicate bones." The guy was a massive bodybuilder. I'm a landlord. I rented an apartment to a girl for college. Her father called me every single night for the first month to ask if I had checked the locks and if the smoke detectors were blinking. He eventually installed a security camera pointing at her front door and gave me the login, so we can both keep an eye on her boys coming over. I told him that was illegal and cut the feed. I work in IT support. A new hire brought his laptop to me saying he couldn't access certain websites. It turns out his mum had installed Net Nanny parental control software on his work computer before he started the job. It was blocking our internal servers because they weren't on the approved list. I had to format the whole drive. The guy was 22. I used to work at a bakery. A woman came in to order a birthday cake for her son. She brought a colour swatch and said the icing had to match exactly. Then she handed me a list of ingredients I wasn't allowed to use because he doesn't like the texture. The list included flour and sugar. When I said I couldn't make a cake without those, she said, "He's turning 30, he needs to watch his figure. Just figure it out." I teach a spin class. A mum signed up with her daughter. During the intense cardio part, the mum kept reaching over and turning down the resistance knob on her daughter's bike, shouting, "Don't overexert yourself, sweetie, you'll get sweaty." The daughter eventually just stopped pedaling, got off the bike and walked out of the class. The mum chased her, yelling, "I paid for this!" I work at a vet clinic. A woman brought in a cat, but her son, who looked about 28, was the owner. She wouldn't let him hold the carrier. When the vet explained the medication, she covered her son's ears and said, "Don't tell him about the side effects, he'll get psychosomatic symptoms." The son just stood there playing Candy Crush. It was bizarre. I was an RA in college. During finals week, a mother set up a tent on the quad lawn. She had a cooler full of energy drinks and snacks and would text her son to come down every 30 minutes for a refuel. She was also stopping other students to ask if they had good study notes her son could borrow. Campus security eventually made her leave because she was harassing people. I worked at a driving school. A student was taking his road test. His mother insisted on riding in the back seat. During the parallel parking portion, she started screaming, "Turn the wheel left, left, now back up." The instructor failed him immediately for interference. The mum then got out of the car and started hitting the instructor with her purse.